G'day guys, and welcome to this business management lesson. In today's lesson, we're once again looking at key knowledge point 322. Today, we'll be looking at the third of three motivation theories. Specifically today, we're looking at the 4-drive theory by Lawrence and Nohria. Lawrence and Nohria said that each human is motivated by drives, in this case, 4 drives, and that these drives are the cause of the motivation that drives how you behave, how you act, how you perceive things, how you come to form conclusions, how you think about things, and how you remember things. Basically, they were saying that these 4 drives are the root cause of everything that a human experiences and does, which is pretty significant, particularly in a business management context. These 4 drives are sitting there, little boxes of motivation that can be activated by different contexts that a human finds himself in. Lawrence and Nohria said that when one of these drives is activated at a time, a human is, or an individual is slightly motivated. When more than one drive is activated at a time, the individual is more motivated, and if an individual can find themselves in an environment where all 4 drives are activated at once, they will be their most motivated. The drive to acquire is the first of these drives. Whenever something is on the line that an individual can gain, the drive to acquire is being activated. This can be tangible or intangible rewards. Things like career advancement might be a target that you would work towards in the long term, and because that's something you can gain, the drive to acquire would be targeted. Certainly more short-term things like performance-related pay or prizes for achievement, good grades at school, or perhaps someone offers you some money to do a job for them, some pocket money perhaps from one of your parents, that will target the drive to acquire. It will activate that drive, and you will be slightly motivated to achieve whatever it is because the drive to acquire has been activated. Certainly, the triggering cause, the root cause for the drive to acquire to be activated can be intrinsic or extrinsic, and this is really true of all of these different drives. It can be for the drive to acquire that you have something tangible that you can gain from someone else, or it could be that you want to be proud of yourself for your own purposes. You want to see if you can achieve something, and so that can be an intrinsic source of activation for the drive to acquire. The drive to bond is quite similar to the love and belonging motivator in Maslow's theory, in that the drive to bond will be activated when an individual has an opportunity to form or maintain relationships with people they care about, friends and family, and so on. Positive, meaningful relationships is the cause of activation for the drive to bond. So certainly, if you have an opportunity to go hang out with your friends, it's the drive to bond that's being activated, and that's why you might be motivated to do that. If you can, in a business management context, work in a team with co-workers with whom you are friendly, the drive to bond will be activated. Generally speaking, anytime you have the opportunity to interact with other people in a positive manner, the drive to bond will be activated, and you'll be a bit more motivated than you would be otherwise because of that. The drive to comprehend is activated whenever you have the capacity to learn something, to develop a new skill, to become better informed or better experienced. Some texts, your textbook or your teacher may refer to this as the drive to learn. That is totally fine. Lawrence and Nohria weren't so specific about this that you should ever expect to lose marks if you call it the drive to comprehend or the drive to learn. Personally, I prefer the terminology drive to comprehend. It helps me remember this off the top of my head. Acquire, bond, comprehend, and defend. A, B, C, D. Nice and easy mnemonic device to remember these 4 drives. So, back to the start. Drive to comprehend will be activated whenever an individual has the potential to learn, to develop, to grow. In a business context, the opportunity to train or to take on new responsibilities, to experience new elements to roles, to be trained to use hardware or technology or tools, there are all sorts of different ways that a business manager can target the drive to comprehend in a business context. And finally, the drive to defend. Now, this is quite unique to this theory. Lawrence and Nohria said that when something's on the line and there's the potential for loss, an individual will be motivated to avoid that loss. So kind of the opposite, or the flip side of the coin from the drive to acquire. If there is the potential that there are negative consequences for actions, the drive to defend will be activated and you'll be motivated to avoid those consequences. Certainly in a business context, the revocation of responsibility, missing out on a career advancement opportunity, just getting told off, might be enough of a motivator. Avoiding those consequences might be enough of a motivator to get you to act in a certain way. And Lawrence and Nohria would say that that's because your drive to defend is being activated. Now, we did say at the beginning of this lesson that when more than one drive is activated, a person is more motivated. And so we can use the example of school to consider how motivated you are at school. Certainly, at school, you have all sorts of things you can achieve. You have good grades, you have rewards for certain behaviors. You might have teachers that like to give out little prizes for certain behaviors. Whatever it is, school is full of opportunities to acquire recognition. So your drive to acquire should be activated. Certainly, at school, you're not there alone. You're there with many other people with whom you have the potential to form relationships. You have the chances at recess and lunch and before and after school, and certainly even in class, to be working in a team environment, building relationships. So your drive to bond should be activated. And it's an educational environment. So your drive to comprehend should be constantly activated. If your teachers are providing valuable learning experiences and opportunities for you to grow your knowledge and skills, your drive to comprehend should be activated almost all the time. Generally speaking, however, school is a pretty safe space. The consequences for failing to achieve shouldn't be that you're punished. Certainly, I'm sure discipline exists in your school, just as it exists everywhere for people who fail to meet the minimum standards for behavior. But generally speaking, for most people, there's not much on the line in terms of negative consequences. So perhaps at school, your drive to defend isn't being activated. I do know for some of my students that their parents are quite involved in their education and quite interested in their education, and there might be consequences at home for failing to achieve grades. So for those students, perhaps the drive to defend is activated. But generally speaking, we'd expect that maybe it's not. And so we can see that in this way, it can be expected, using Lawrence and Nohria's 4-drive theory, that being at school and receiving your education is a quite motivating environment, and you should be capable of being motivated to engage with your learning and achieve reasonably high grades as a result of this motivation. Of course, we know that that's not always true, and one weakness of the 4-drive theory is it doesn't necessarily account for contexts that are outside the scope of the theory. So what we have to say is, assuming no other factors, no extrinsic factors outside of the scope of the theory is pretty sound. As a business manager, how can you create an environment in which your employees are going to have their 4 drives activated at once? Well, certainly rewards, recognition, responsibility, and increased pay. If those are on offer, that will target someone's drive to acquire. Organizing social events and team building opportunities, giving employees the opportunity to socialize and interact with each other, and certainly helping employees to feel valued by the business by recognizing them and encouraging them will help them build and maintain relationships. You can offer employees training in new knowledge and skills. You can offer them new experiences. You can offer them job rotation opportunities to activate their drive to learn or drive to comprehend. And certainly build pride in the company, in your employees. Have your managers lead by example and take pride in their jobs so that your employees want to defend the company against competitors and want the company to succeed. And certainly maintain accountability for your employees. Reinforce the importance of working well, and working effectively, and certainly make sure that there are consequences for employees who are not meeting standards. Let your employees know that failure to achieve the minimum acceptable standard of performance will be met with consequences, so that employees know that they have their own reputation to defend. In summary for this key knowledge point, Lawrence and Nohria described 4 motivators that, when activated, are the source of motivation for human achievement of tasks. 4-drive theory states that when 1 drive is activated, a human is a bit motivated. When 2, when 3, or when all 4 drives are activated, the human is more and most motivated. When all 4 drives are activated at once, it's said that a human is experiencing maximum motivation. They are the most engaged and motivated, and we would say, therefore, they are the most productive and efficient. That's all for today. See you next time.